When we first started seeing all of these seizures, they admitted her into the hospital. And it just so happened that that week that she was admitted was my third audition for Hamilton. I was only thinking about one thing. I couldn't escape my real life just pouring out of my mouth and pouring out of my face. And, perhaps there was a little girl on my shoulder sort of guiding me through that day, because, I walked out of the room and the producer came out and said, wow, that was beautiful. And all I could think of was that I have to go back to the hospital.
Adelaide was a very normal pregnancy. She came very quickly. She shot out in an hour. She was beautiful and perfect. And I remember the nurses saying something like, oh, she's a little floppy. And I was like, all babies are floppy. They can't hold their heads up. And we take her home, and it was different. It was different than with Jackson. She wasn't meeting those milestones. She was floppy. She wasn't holding her head. She wasn't rolling over. She wasn't doing any of these things. And then at 7 months, she had her first seizure. The number one thing I've learned about epilepsy and infantile spasms, the type of epilepsy that Adelaide has been diagnosed with, is that it presents differently in every single person that it affects. When I was doing the research to look at what infantile spasms was, you realize that babies can die from it. I remember also reading that there was a chance for full recovery as long as the baby had not had any other developmental issues. Adelaide had a lot of developmental issues.
You hope against hope that these things will just work themselves out. And as you get deeper and deeper into this, complex, jungle of, the brain, then all of a sudden your worst fears and nightmares are starting to sprout up in front of you.
We had a year-old baby that was functioning as a newborn. Any progress that she had made was clean out the window. There's never a moment where you get to go, well, wow, that was an amazing, incredible day. And in the back of your mind, you have a count of how many seizures happened that day. And we're coming to grips with that at the same time that Hamilton is opening in Chicago and Miguel is doing all of this press and singing the national anthem at a Bears game or throwing out the first pitch at a Cubs game, like these ludicrous, insane highs. And at the same time, we're watching our baby girl fade.
Every medication has changed her.
It feels like we've been managing and living with this for an entire lifetime. It feels like decades. It feels like forever.
As we sit here 18 months into the birth of our daughter, because of an onslaught of seizures and neurological problems, I don't feel like I know her. I don't feel like I've ever really met her. I look at her and I just pray that she'll look at me and smile or something. And if there's a possibility that I might not get that I may not get to ever see that, and no one can help me find it, it makes me very sad.
Living with epilepsy is not, it's what we have to do. It's not what I want to do. And I don't know if a cure comes in Adelaide's lifetime, but I don't want to walk into another hospital room and see a baby in a bed like I saw Adelaide.
I want a doctor to look me in the face and say, I know what that is, and here's how we fix it.
This is an organization that is looking for a cure. This organization gives me hope.